Pryde's Picks is spoiler heavy and full of crude language. I swear like a sailor, and Lockheed's no better. Consider yourself warned. Hi everyone, it's February 26th, and I'm here with this week's Pryde's Picks. This week we have a butt ton of Marvel and only one book from DC, Dark Horse, and Image Comics. So let's get started. First up is Superior Spider-Man Goblination, Part 2, Issue 28 of the book. So far, we have come to realize that Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin is superior to everyone, including Otto Octavius. He is scrambling, trying to keep up, and Norman is like 10 steps ahead of him. Carly has become part of the Goblin Nation, and she's pretty much his little pawn at the moment, but Mary Jane turns out to be more than you expect. She puts on some web shooters and she channels her Spider Island days and actually kicks some ass and gets Aunt May and everybody out of town so that she removes the pawns from the board and Norman has nobody to use against Otto Octavius. Peter, on the other hand, is stuck in Otto Octavius's memories, reliving them, and somehow he's suddenly losing himself in the whole issue. He's like, I'm Peter Parker. I can't forget I'm Peter Parker. That part was weak because this has been going on for a while. If he was going to lose himself, it should have happened by now. This bullshit seems a little emo and a little lame. Mary Jane kind of saves it for me, so I'm going to say, ooh, I really want to pee on it, but I will say read it on the shelf because I know you Superior Spider-Man fans fucking dig this shit. Next up is Fantastic Four Issue 1. Here's my thing with the Fantastic Four. I never really cared about them. They seem to have their lives together. Sue Storm is in love with Reed Richards, and they end up getting powers together, and that's kind of romantic and cute. And Johnny's like famous, and he's hot, and he's like a show-off, and he ends up being full of fire, and he's awesome, and everybody loves him, and you're like, oh, isn't that sweet? You can't fucking relate. Then there's the thing, and you're like, okay, well, this guy's like kind of ugly and a fucking rock. But then he finds that one girl in the world that sees him for himself on the inside, because she's blind. And I'm like, these people catch all the fucking breaks. I don't give a shit about them. Then I open up this book, and it's Sue writing a letter to her children about how there is a fall within the Fantastic Four and their world basically falls apart. So it's a little preview as to what's going to come. And then it starts where their world just kind of like starts out normal. And they go to sleep after like a really successful fight. And then this little vault of sorts, this little Gateway F, goes from being sealed to unsealed, and I have a little Ghostbusters flashback, and then these little fucking monstery robots come out. I have to say, I'm excited to see what happens. I still don't love the Fantastic Four, but I'm willing to give it a shot if I get to see them fall. I'm tired of seeing them win all the time. Fuck those guys. Bye now. I surprised myself with that rating. Next up is The Ultimates-Cataclysm Issue 5. Now, Reed Richards in this issue has basically set up Kitty Pryde to beat up Galactus. He has given her something that's going to have her grow, and then he's going to have her kick his ass. And she thinks she's doing it to save the world. What she doesn't realize is he's using her as a distraction. And so she gets really big, and she phases through anything he comes at her with, and then she's punching him, but somehow he starts to negate her power, starts kind of fucking her up. Then Reed Richards pulls out a negative zone portal he just had in his fucking back pocket, and he's like, here you go, off to the negative zone with you. Kitty's about to fall through. Suddenly Miles Morales, who she just met, feels sorry for her and saves her ass, and in the end, somebody else gets sacrificed and goes through the portal to the negative zone with Galactus. I'm not going to ruin who it was, but it came out of fucking left field, and it left me not really caring. Other than that, Kitty Pryde manning up and doing the job was something I can admire, so I'm going to say read it on the shelf. Next up is Guardians of the Galaxy issue 12, The Trial of Jean Grey, 4 of 6. Now I stopped for a second and was like, 4 of 6? Like, this is almost over and not much happens, but then I realized, do I really want to see 6 issues of her on trial? I have like Battlestar Galactica flashbacks, and I don't want to see a whole season of a trial, so I'm willing to give it a shot. Right now, the Shi'ar have Jean Grey, and she's met up with Oracle, and Oracle's basically her attorney. And Oracle's like, you're gonna have to be a little more convincing that you don't know what you're talking about and that you're from the past, or else nobody's gonna believe your shit. And it turns out Gladiator, this was all his idea. And he brings Jean Grey over, and Oracle's like, listen, you pissed off the X-Men. And he's like, fuck those guys. They don't have the technology to get all the way out here. Meanwhile, they're like trailing their happy asses along with Guardians of the Galaxy coming to save the day. Oracle's like, I feel like you dug a hole and now you think you should just sit in it because you know this is going to bite you in the ass. And he's like, stop reading my mind. Cuts to the scene of the trial, and it is this giant auditorium, think Super Bowl Sunday, and she's on trial for everything that her counterpart did. And you see her like falling apart, but at one point somebody whispers in her head, be strong, your time is now. And I don't know if it was Oracle or if maybe there's somebody else watching this and they're going to keep an eye on her and take care of her. So I can't wait to see who that is. I'm going to say, I can't give it a buy-in now. Definitely read it on the shelf. It does look good, and wait for the trade, because I am enjoying the trial of Jean Grey. Moving away from Marvel, we're going to jump into DC Comics with one book this week, Batman Superman issue 8. And I'm not going to lie to you, I am a little lost as to what's going on. I read the first few of these books, and then I kind of forgot about it for a while, and I picked this one up. You have Power Girl and Huntress from another universe jumping in with Batman and Superman in this universe, and they're trying to work together, and Batman captures Huntress and finds out later that it's his daughter from another universe, and he doesn't quite trust her, but she basically picks the lock in her cell, comes out, starts typing on the computer next to him, hacks all his passwords because she knows them all, and he's like, oh, maybe this is my kid. Soups goes out to save Kara. She is overloading on the sun's energy or something, and she looks like she's about to explode, and instead of, you know, just like shoving her out into the world and like up into the sky, maybe out into the universe and kind of getting rid of her, he basically cradles her and waits for the end. You see a little bit of a paternal instinct in both Soups and Batman, and it's kind of endearing. As much as I didn't know what was going on, I didn't hate the book. I feel like this is something that I should have been reading, and I am definitely going to pick up the trade. And this book is kind of a buy it now for me. I want to know what happened, and I'm going to go back and read it. And the art style is still the same awesome art style from the beginning, so I'm going to say First Contact Part 1, buy it now. We are going to jump into Dark Horse Comics with Serenity Issue 2. Now, Leaves on the Wind is a new arc, and it picks up kind of where Serenity left off, except that Zoe is pregnant with Wash's baby. I guess he knocked her up one of those last few sessions they had before he died, and she has a complication with the pregnancy, and they end up giving her to an alliance ship, sort of like what happened with Shepherd Book in an episode, and he's like, we're gonna have to let you over there just so they can heal you, take care of you, whatever it takes to get you all better. And then they hightail it out because they know that the alliance is still looking for them from what happened in the Serenity movie. The only beef I had with this book is the fact that it feels like it was kind of written by people that just saw the movie. A lot of the wording came out sort of like exactly the lines in the movie. And despite the fact that there are characters that show up from this series, I still felt like they didn't really get this series. Whoever's writing this, whoever's doing this, I mean, you got Zach Whedon, but I feel like they're just channeling more after Serenity and kind of focusing on Serenity itself and kind of pushing past what Firefly itself was. So, I mean, if you're reading it, you're going to feel like you're watching an episode, but it's also going to feel a little bit different. I didn't hate it, but I expected a little bit more. It felt like they were trying a little too hard to be what Serenity was. So I'm going to say, I mean, I'm a Serenity fan. I'm going to say wait for the trade. I want to know what happens, and I can't wait to see what a little Wash Zoe baby looks like when it grows up, but I wasn't too moved by this book. Sorry, guys. Finally, The Walking Dead issue 122. Now, this is coming to the end of All Out War. We're in issue 8 of 12, and I felt like more should be happening. Rick is still regrouping, which is fine, but Negan got this genius idea. Negan feels like he just invented this wonderful thing. And what it is he takes his bat Lucille, which is wrapped with barbed wire, And he decides to rub it all over some walker's face. And now he's like, now I can turn the world into walkers with this weapon. Like, somebody hasn't fucking thought of that before. He's acting like it's this big genius plan. And you still gotta get close enough to do it. And, by the way, once you hit them with that shit, they're gonna turn around and bite your ass. I'm not quite sure what Negan's thinking here. He's not as smart as he thinks he is, and I think it's kind of a dumbass plan. But he's like, we attack tonight, and Rick's like, we'll go get them tomorrow. As long as we have one night's rest, we'll be fine. So they're about to get ass raped in the middle of the night, and I cannot wait for issue 123. So once again, I'm going to give this a wait for the trade. This issue itself didn't move me to pieces, but the arc itself has been amazing. 123 is where it's at. I know it. That's it for comics this week. I have to say, everybody's been asking what I think about having a Black Johnny Storm. Now, recently, the internet announced that we have an all-new Johnny Storm for the 2015 movie, and that is Michael B. Jordan. He's an actor who I met through the TV series Parenthood, and he's actually been a superhero before. He voiced Cyborg in the Flashpoint cartoon series. I have to say, I really don't care that Johnny Storm's going to be black and Sue Storm is going to be white and there's a new movie coming out, because the last movie fucking sucked. This movie can't be any worse, and the actors are a bit better. And I know some of you are going to rage right now, but the best part about the 2005 movie was Michael Chiklis is the Thing. I loved him when he was the commish, before he was in The Shield, and I thought that he was just the right amount of cheese and pudgy adorableness at the same time. I say bring on the racially diverse Fantastic Four, and I can't wait for the new movie, because I'm not really expecting much, and you guys really can't disappoint me. And with that, I'm going to say thanks for sticking it out. I know y'all were complaining that I didn't have the intro last week, so I'm glad you enjoyed it this week, and get ready for the outro, because here it comes. And good night, everybody. Mwah.